Why do you have to justify it?
Cool.
Stop justifying your dreams. There's nothing fucking wrong with that. You're going to start out 20, 40, 60, 80%, 90%, 100%. When you get to a 100% aligned frame, it will then generate the mindset that's in alignment that will generate the aligned actions.
Watching the journey of someone else. Typically, it's been like 15 to 18-year-olds watching them progress in their basketball career and their life, and then now it's in the real estate.
We would rather do something that doesn't get us any closer to the target than not do anything at all.
Because money can provide freedoms and all these things that you want. Like a lot of people are just chasing the dollar. Can you maybe just unpack that a little bit?
We help them get unstuck. We help them elevate their financial mindset.
Hey, but sometimes you need the macro level of framing to understand, and that's what talking to you has helped us.
Jason, welcome to the Wealth Juice podcast. We are so excited to have you on the show, man. As we talked a little bit pre-recording, we've been following your journey for a long time. You've mentored some of our mentors, and we're just excited to learn from you today, pick your brain a bit, and learn some methodologies behind mindset and how to kind of take our lives to the next level. So thanks for being here.
Yeah, Ryan, thanks for the invitation. I'm excited to connect today.
Absolutely. So let's dive in. Today, we obviously know that you're a world-renowned performance coach. You're an entrepreneur. You're the author of Do the Impossible. I held up the book for people that are watching. I have the book, incredible. It's just a reframe on mindset and kind of how to take the next leap in your professional and personal lives. So, Jason, I think I just want to kind of start here is like, how does one become, or how did you become a performance coach? What was there before that and what led up to it?
It wasn't a plan, actually. You know, I was in technology sales and was selling phone systems actually at the time to businesses. And then I started a company, my first startup called 986 Incorporated, and we basically built and designed race car driver cooling suits. This was in 2008. And in 2010, I hired a Tony Robbins coach. I had started listening to Tony Robbins content in like 2001, 2002. And I got a postcard for a free coaching session. So I filled it out, had the session. It was great. I hired a performance coach, and like that coaching went well. And then 2 years later, that coach asked me, have you ever thought about becoming a coach? And that question like hit me like a lightning bolt. Like my life changed in that moment. Like in that moment, I knew this is what I'm supposed to do. And it was just like literally 6 months later, I was in Tony Robbins' coach training program. And then the rest is history. That's just was my path.
Love it, man. That's so cool. Similar kind of moment for me, a little bit less maybe profound, but like I've been a coach my whole life, and coach basketball. And my girlfriend like a year and a half ago, she's like, you know, you and Ryan basically coach people all the time on real estate. Like, why don't you do this? And I had the thought in the back of my head. So we started our mentorship program, and I love coaching. It's like one of my favorite things to do. It's like, it's seriously like, it brings me the most joy watching the journey of someone else. Typically it's been like 15 to 18-year-olds watching them progress in their basketball career and their life. And then now it's in the real estate. But I want to ask you about the first couple steps you took as a coach. Like, what did you do? Was it always like high performance coaching? Because, you know, some people have this imposter syndrome. Like, how do you coach high performers if you don't feel like you're one yet? Right. And like, maybe you did automatically, but like, what was your first couple steps in the coaching world? And then we'll work our way towards where you're at now.
It kind of started with, in 2012, I went to Tony Robbins' event in UPW, Unleash the Power Within. And then I went to his Date with Destiny event, which is a 6-day event. I went like in December of 2012. And that event like turned me into a coach, because that event, you get a lot of interaction with Tony and you see a lot of his coaching there, where he's basically coaching people all day long. And watching that process, I was hooked on it. And I came back. This was before I got, like I had been asked the question, have you been thought about becoming a coach? And this was like January 2013. So I literally go onto Facebook. I've got no coaching experience, no training, nothing whatsoever. And I post on Facebook, hey, I'm a coach. And then somebody messages me and says, can I hire you? So I literally started hiring a client, got a client, $250 an hour to start. And I literally it was basically focus and goal setting at that point. And then it was probably another 2 months later when he asked me about I got invited to the Tony Robbins coach training. And that's kind of the process. In regards to being authentic when you're coaching someone who's at a higher level than you, that is absolutely something that came up, right? I remember probably my first 3 to 4 months of coaching, I'm coaching this entrepreneur, and I was actually struggling quite a bit at the time because we're struggling financially. I was laid off from my tech job while I'm trying to build a coaching business. We had a second son that was born. We were on food assistance from the state, and I was getting sued by my previous business partner. It was just chaos at that time. And I'm like, well, what do I have to offer this guy? And then I had this kind of this moment, and my content comes to me through moments. It's just, I have these moments of clarity, and pretty much they all come during coaching, because I'm not regurgitating Tony content for 10 years. Like, my content's all original. And what I realize is that life has brought me and this client together at this point right now. It could be to give them an example of what a terrible coach is. It could be an example of what a great coach is. I don't know, but I know that we're brought together in this moment. So I am enough. I'm all I need to be, because that's the moment that we brought together. And after I shifted to that frame, I never questioned my coaching ability again.
It's beautifully said. And I also think it's the power of putting your message into the universe. And Ryan and I talk about this. It's like, you just put out there that you were a coach and you were able to get hired. So I think it's like, even just by saying you are who you say you are is so cool. Now, today, how do you, are you a high performance coach? Like, what is the title that you give yourself, and like, who do you coach today?
It's almost like I'm not even a coach anymore. The style of coaching I'm doing, I don't really call performance anymore. I call it alignment coaching, because, the Tony Robbins coaching, the performance coaching that I've done for years, is really forced accountability, right? Take the action, go, 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 go. Especially the Tony Robbins content. It's forced accountability. What I've figured out how to do is I've literally learned how to coach at the level above mindset, which I call frame. And I've learned to align their frame with the targets. And that's the formula for flow. So I still call myself a coach, but I would call it alignment coaching. But a lot of times I'm like, what I'm doing isn't really coaching, because I talk a lot during coaching calls, because I've never figured out how to ask a question to a client and get them to answer it in a higher frequency. So my magic is I can hold and see the level of alignment above them, and I hold that space and I pull them up to it in coaching calls.
So what is alignment coaching? Like, you kind of explained it a little bit there, but like, let's just say Ryan and I came to you and we were like, are you typically searching for entrepreneurs that just need this directional type coaching? Like, just talk to us about how you see alignment coaching and what you feel like you can do for business owners and entrepreneurs.
Yeah. So alignment coaching, like results-based coaching, is focused, is hitting the target. The target is the target, right? Alignment coaching is becoming the version of you that knows how to hit the target. Because when you become the version of you that knows how to hit the target, then it happens from a state of flow and alignment. And what I really do is the primary thing I do is I unlock people's financial revenue blocks, that hidden mental blocks are preventing them from passing. That's what I do primarily.
Okay. So you've coached a lot of high level entrepreneurs and high performers, if you will. I'm curious what you think separates these high level people from people that maybe stay stuck. And as a coach, I'm sure you've seen it all. So like, is there, maybe there's not one thing, but like, give us the inside of what you think is a separating factor from people that do make it to that next level of alignment and people that don't.
Yeah. The number one thing I'd say is the people who are at a higher level of success are always in the game. A lot of times when you find people who are at the beginner part of success, they're not in the game. So for example, when I'm coaching Brandon Turner, I've never once had to question if he's going to take the action he says he's going to take. When I'm talking to people who are new, I have to question them because I sense they're not doing it. So basically, people who are at a higher level are in the game, which basically means they removed the option of not being in the game. They've removed the option of not hitting the target. They removed the option of not doing the work. And that's an entirely different space to operate from.
Now, with that, are those specifically the people that you target, the people that are not going to waver from that and they're always going to be in the game? Or do you sometimes get clients that are teetering and you have to coach them up to that higher frequency to be like, hey, I'm always going to be in the game? Is it two different avatars or are you sticking with one?
They are two different avatars. Now, I do get clients who my coaching gets them in the game.
Cool.
But my default client is basically, I'd say probably 80 to 90% already in.
Cool. So I have a question for you, and let's just give you our scenario just to give just like a mini example of this. But Corey and I have been in the game, if you want to call it, for 6 years. We built a podcast from 0 to 10,000 downloads per month. We built the Instagram to about 40,000 people. We have built 0 to 80 units in real estate. And now we are at the point where people have been asking us for assistance and they want to get in the game. And we feel like our bread and butter is we can help you get your first or next rental property because it completely changed our lives. And that first one is like our core, right? Yeah. And we believe so much in it. So we decided to start an education platform in September. Corey and I kind of aligned, and he left his W-2 first to pursue this full time. I'm still balancing the W-2 world to pump some cash into our business. Just wait till we're at the perfect time. Sure. And which is no such thing as perfect time, but right, like to the time. Yeah. But now we're at this point where like, okay, we want to build $1 million education platform that goes in synergy with our other businesses and the things that we're doing with our media company, if you will. Guys like us who we know we're going to stay in the game, we're just trying to pivot. Take us through maybe what an initial first couple of calls would look like, just something to give someone an example of like maybe in the war room with you, how it kind of looks.
Well, it varies. The first thing is, what's the target, right? So what's your target? Let's do it this way. What's the target you guys are aiming at?
So let me start here. Is it open-ended where I could give you a revenue amount, or are you looking for more so like, what do you want your life to look like?
Let's keep it relevant to work and money, because that's what you're focused on, right? So because that's typically people who typically hire me because they're trying to grow their business or make more money.
Perfect. Okay.
So the first thing I want to look at is the target, right? Okay. So give me a number so I can get a reference point.
$1 million.
$1 million what?
$1 million in revenue in 1 year. So we want to build $1 million education, coaching, mentorship program. So make us both comfortable to be full-time in it. We're living, we can live happily. It's that like fat fire number. So that's it.
Okay. And how certain are you from 0 to 100% right now that you can hit that target?
100. Are you asking Ryan as well?
I'm asking both of you actually, because since you're both in it. Like
100.
What's your certainty?
Oof. Okay. Number that popped in my head is 80.
Okay. So we want to start to use the alignment model. You have to really be aware of how certain you are, because the challenge being an entrepreneur is that we will believe in ourselves so much, but we actually maybe 50% think we can do it, that we just start running towards the target. And if you are 80% certain you can hit the target, that means your aim at the target is 20% off. And it doesn't matter how many times or how fast or how much effort, 20% off will never hit the target. But let's just like I say, hey, come visit me in Austin, Texas, and the address I give you is 20% correct or 80% correct. You'll drive halfway here, and then what's probably going to happen is you'll realize you're lost. You won't know what to do, so you just keep driving. Well, actually, no, that's not what happens when we're driving, but that's what happens when we're entrepreneurs. We would rather do something that doesn't get us any closer to the target than not do anything at all. Because we're conditioned to think that action creates reality, but action doesn't create reality. Alignment creates reality. Hard work doesn't create success. Alignment with success creates success. So your general guiding litmus is going to be 100% certainty. Now, Corey has made a decision, which is a frame, that he's going to hit the target, and that's why he's in 100% certainty, even though he doesn't know how. I know he doesn't know how. He has an idea, but you've never done it before. It's in the unknown. So the key to starting in that target, the number one, the thing that happens when we first come to coaching, we have to aim at the level that you're meant to play at, right? So the target needs to excite you, and it needs to scare you. And that means, because what ends up happening over time is we win, we lose, we have success and failures, and an average person will start to lower their target to the amount of discomfort that they can handle. And so their targets are based on their comfort level and not their potential. So what I do on a client's first call is I point that potential at 100%. And that's when they'll typically go into like a dumpster fire, chaos, overwhelm in the first 3 weeks. But I want to do that because that brings up all the holes in the game. My coaching style is the fastest on the planet to shift the mindset, so I can quickly do that. And then all of a sudden in 2 months, you're at 100% capacity, where before you thought you were at 80% of your potential, you're really only at 40.
So is it really just a mindset shift of, I guess I would have to figure out what get all the way through there. That's probably the secret sauce to your program. But like, to get me to 100, I'm thinking about this right now, just live, right? So Corey clearly is at 100 because he was the one willing to take the leap and go full time, right? And then I'm still hedging still with my W-2, right? For a couple of personal reasons, but also does that subconsciously mean I only believe in it 80% because I still have the W-2 and I'm using it as an excuse kind of thing?
I don't know if you're using an excuse. You could be smart. You could, like, you putting you in there could put more strain on the business. That we don't, good or bad. That's the scenario right now, right?
Yeah.
You know, what you think about what you do is more important than what you actually do.
Great. So I feel, no, to your point, and sorry to cut you off, but I do feel personally that I'm being strategic about it, and it's risk capacity, right? And so I try to give as much as I possibly can to it, outside of those W-2 hours. And he's working in the business, I'm working on the business. So we kind of like divide and conquer there.
Yeah.
But at some point, right, like it's hard to build $1 million business in a year. I think it's hard for anyone to do that. But for us, we're like, we sometimes feel like, hey, we are perfectly aligned. We're crushing it. Then we have a really bad month and you're like, what happened? And we've been doing the same thing, and you try to pivot and you dump more money into it. So it's just very much teetering back and forth. And then sometimes the belief gets thrown off because you're like, like, is this consistent enough? We can do it. But you know, that's where I'm at.
I don't believe it's hard to build a $1 million business in a year. If you want to operate in that frame, you can. So
this is great stuff.
It's a frame, right? Then now to answer your question, how do I get to 100%? Now you can't, because the 80% certainty is basically means you have 20% doubt or 20% misalignment. Now listen closely, because this is always going to happen. This is how life works. You're going to be in uncertainty. You're going to start out 20, 40, 60, 80%, 90%, 100%. When you get to a 100% aligned frame, it will then generate the mindset that's in alignment that will generate the aligned actions, which creates the amazing results. What you're actually after is how to do it. You're after the strategy. But if your certainty is less than 100% certain, that means you're in a frame that doesn't know what to do it. Now, even Corey, even though his frame is 100% certain, it's at a non-specific level. If we go into the actual details of how to execute on a weekly basis, his certainty is going to drop because he doesn't know. So the name of the game is becoming the version that will know. So you start non-specific, and then what ends up happening is the bigger the jump from your present frame to the future frame, say 0 to 1 million, that's a big jump right there. It may require you to hold that aligned frame for 6 months before the house shows up, right? If it's going from 500K to 550, it could pop up in 2 seconds. But it's about focusing on the version of you, because we're operating in an infinite number of parallel realities. And our focus controls which reality we're in. And the challenge we have as human beings is we're by default in reaction to the present reality. I don't know how to do this. I don't have enough money. I've got the bills. It's like, no, forget all that. Because while you may be at the W-2 for strategic reasons, or you don't know, or whatever you want to call it, you may be still in the W-2 because next month in the W-2, you're going to go to lunch and meet a guy, and that guy's going to give you an introduction. And there's $1 million in 1 month. Because those leaps up in the unknown to that big 10x, 20x, those happen from a new idea, a new connection, a new opportunity, or a phone call, right? But are you walking around in the frame where I have to do this for that phone call to happen? Or are you walking around in the frame that I get those phone calls all the time, I just don't know when? Most people don't jump from 0 to 1 million simply because they don't believe they can. And they can't handle the integration that comes with jumping that much, because to go to that level, you have to become a different version of you. And that's going to bring up shit from your past. And that's where everybody gets stuck, because it brings up the shit from the past. You don't know what to do with it. And that's where you're stuck and cycled. So that's why you aim lower, so you can keep functioning. Right.
When you say
my magic is integrating that past stuff. That's what my real magic is. I don't put that on the door, because nobody signs up to feel better about the past. But that's actually how you get it, because the 20% doubt is a past reference point in your mindset that's contradicting what you're doing now. So you create 100% alignment by removing that doubt, and then the 80% becomes 100.
Does that percentage of doubt or living in the past, is that just reflecting on previous you, meaning like the W-2 version of Corey or something like that, or the younger version of you who is it from beliefs from growing up as a kid? Like, how far back do you go? It seems like it's almost a therapy session in a way to like knock out some things that have occurred before this present you.
It's any and all of those things.
Okay.
Sometimes it'll be a directly relative experience. Oh, I tried that other business from 0 to million and it blew up and it was so painful. It could be that. It could be, oh my God, this 6th grade memory where I got in a fight with this kid and I lost and it made me not believe in it could be something like that.
That's very interesting. Okay.
Because hitting the goal and making more money in life isn't about more money in life. It's about becoming the evolved version of you. That's what this is all about.
Right.
So those that are at the highest levels, they're in the game and they're into the evolution of themselves, consciously or not.
So this is a hard one because I'm thinking about Corey and I, and right, we're both going through this journey at the same time. Maybe his target's 100, I'm at 80, but I feel like we're doing the actions. Like we have jumped into a number of mastermind groups to figure out, to plug the holes in our business, right? Or in our lives. And then when we get in there, we meet people and to plug to the next connection. For example, we need more eyes on our program, platform, et cetera, or whatever. So we realized we were doing it archaically and it wasn't the right way. So through a mastermind group, we met an individual that was doing exactly what we are doing at a very high level. And we said, hey, what was the key to your success? He's like, one of them was mastering ads on Meta. So we're like, okay, great. Who's your ads consultant? We got in the call with him, vetted him out as best we possibly could, having never hired one. And we were like, this guy is dialed in. So we hired, like a couple weeks ago, hired him. It's been great so far, but we're doing things like that, which in my mind, I'm like, okay, we're operating at that 100% target because we understand where we need to go. We're paying to do it and we're executing. I'm just not sure how I could get to 100% more so than that.
Okay. Well, ads are what worked for this mentor. They may work for you. They may not work for you. So the reason I'm assuming that you're not feeling the certainty is because you don't know what the strategy is yet. You don't know how, right? It's like you're trying to figure out how to do that and you're committed to it. So you're thinking about how all the time and you're eating and drinking and sleeping this how, but how is the wrong question. How becomes automatic because that's what we grew up in a reality where action creates reality. And how do you create success? You work hard. That's it. Does hard work create success? If you work hard, will you get to guarantee success? No, right? So we're shifting from this different paradigm, this different reality where we're going from action creates reality to alignment creates reality. So you want to maintain your certainty that it's absolutely going to happen. So think of it as like a macro frame, global, non-specific macro frame. We're going to do $1 million in a year. I wouldn't say this year. I'd say a year.
Okay.
Because big goals, like even if it's January, what ends up happening is you get to March and you're not at 250, your brain's going to keep track in a linear fashion. And then you start to get more and more out of alignment. Whereas where you want to say, yes, we're going to do $1 million in a year. And that could start in February, right? So it's all about alignment so that's happening. Like that doesn't change. Like we're going to hit that 100%. Now, we may come along and find there's a better target to shift to, but right now that's the target 1 million. Now at the micro level, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying to figure it out. We're going to try ads. Let the uncertainty run here, but it's the highest level certainty that determines the alignment. I
get what you're saying. So I've done this to, it's been a goal since, let's call it, I don't know, 16, but I've been mentioning this a million times. I'm putting it into the atmosphere with you because you're the closest thing I can figure out to get me there. So I want this black Lamborghini because, and I know it's like the classic cliche. Hey, Batman was my favorite superhero growing up. I saw.
Whoa, stop. Don't say.
I don't need to describe.
Say, I want a black Lamborghini.
I want a black Lamborghini.
Period.
Why
do you have to justify it?
Cool.
Stop justifying your dreams. There's nothing fucking wrong with that.
Okay. So with that, I always put a when. Like it's no if. Like it's going to happen. I put a when. But for me, I'm so convicted in that. Like that's 100% for me. Never wavered. Never has. Because I just know I'm going to have it.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the macro.
Yeah.
So I'm and then everything else, it'll just find its way. I never put a deadline on it, that's where I'm kind of I feel like, hey, am I misaligned because I don't have a date? You know, they say like just a dream without or a goal without a timeline or out of an end date is just a dream, right? Something like that. So that's where I feel like, do I need for this $1 million business? This is just me reframing. When you switched it to a year, I'm in But this year I'm like, it seems, I don't know.
Because so you have targets in the known and targets in the unknown. Known is what you know how to do and what you can map out. That's when you put timelines on them. When you put timelines on the target in the unknown, it just causes misalignment, doubt, uncertainty. And remember, if it's a target you're supposed to hit, the unknown target will at some point become known. Because honestly, you could probably afford a lease on a Lamborghini right now, tomorrow, if you wanted to. Yeah. So it's that's a great reference point for you. But what I've found to be true is that life always has a better version for us than we can ever dream of. And when we become too attached to a specific version, we start to get in resistance and block the process. Because let's say my business, I'm gonna build the greatest blue boxes in the world, and you focus all your business on making blue boxes, and there's a guy who lives next door who has a business that needs 1 million red boxes a month. You won't even see it. So especially when businesses are in the infancy stage, when they're growing, the stage, like be very fluid, because your goal is money, freedom, impact, resources. That's what you're actually after. And I guarantee if you guys came up with an ice cream flavor and can make an ice cream truck that makes $1 million a day, you'd throw that other thing out tomorrow, right? So it's like, be fluid. You have to be very careful following your conditioning versus your intuition, because your conditioning is, well, build the training, build this, but the mastermind, all that stuff. And that may actually be the case. But if you follow your conditioning, which is basically the same thing as what everyone else says you should do, then you'll end up being average. Now, if you're in a room of 8-figure guys and you're average in there, that's not that bad. But to really live your life and make the impact you're supposed to make, you got to follow your gut, your internal guidance. So you got to really pay attention to where the conditioning is coming in and where your heart is coming in. And this will guide you with excitement, right? That's kind of, because me becoming a coach, like I had people in my family saying, what are you doing? You had a great paying tech job. You were making $150K a year. Like, why would you do that? Your coach are making $60K. Like, they couldn't understand, because nobody could feel what was in here, but I could.
Yep. I feel it. So I appreciate you bringing that up. It kind of resonated a lot with me. It's like, it doesn't matter. I had to take a step back to go full time. We have real estate income coming in, right? Basic lifestyle needs. But I took the step back because I'm like, I feel it. Like, I know it's there. So I love it. And I think hopefully people listening kind of got a little case study out of that in a way. And I love that REI hesitated and said 80, because I think it opens up something that I kind of knew, but it's just like, it's very interesting. And it's like, we go at this together every day, but sometimes you need the macro level of framing to understand. And that's what talking to you has helped us. I want to get into the 5-step do the impossible framework. And maybe you touched on some of it, like in this little free coaching session that we didn't pay for. But I'm curious about, like, what is that framework? Maybe people can take that and apply that into something that they're pursuing right now.
Well, the framework is rather simple. And it's basically, if you coach with me or one of my coaches long enough, this is what will happen, basically. The first step is, what is alignment? Understanding what alignment is. That's the first thing. And that's where we kind of struggle, is because we've been conditioned to work hard. But the real thing is, like, we want to make sure we're aimed at the target. Just like when you are driving to Austin, Texas, and you realize the address is wrong, you don't keep driving, you stop and get your bearing, right? So when you realize you're in persistent, not perpetual motion that's not moving you anywhere, you need to stop and refocus. So that's one. And then number 2 is alignment with success. That's where most people are out of alignment. So alignment with success also includes, like, financial alignment, timing, business goals, teams, leadership. That all falls under alignment with success. The third step is alignment with yourself. You've got to be aligned with yourself. And then step 4 is alignment with other people. And then 5 is alignment with life. So when people show up to a coaching call with me and they're not sure, they're focused, their wheels are spinning, or they're not sure what to do, or they're overwhelmed, like, they're out of alignment in one of those areas. So using that framework, we basically coach them into alignment. And like Jamie Gruber from Go Abundance would call me a mental chiropractor, right? Where basically they show up, realign, go, run off, and they come back out of alignment again. Because as you're growing and expanding to the next level, that's where the misalignment is occurring. So the faster you can integrate your misalignment, the faster you can grow. And that's why working with an alignment coach or even working with me, like, well, that is the fastest growth on the planet.
Awesome. I'm curious if you have, I don't know if there's any like HIPAA laws or anything against this, but I'm curious if you have like a case study of some, like a powerful transformation that you could share with people, with us and people listening. Like somebody came to you, they were in X state, they worked with you, they got to this state or this position. And I think it's helpful to see it in real life. I'm sure you have some cool transformations, if you're allowed to even go into them. I don't know how much is.
There are some that I can mention. All coaching is confidential. I do have testimonials. My website has a lot of testimonials on the homepage. Brandon Turner, of course, is the number one. You know, he was a W-2 employee for Bigger Pockets when we met, when he was up in the Pacific Northwest, and his business grew just massively. Open Door Capital was brand new when we started coaching. So that was a big one. Another one, I had a client who owns a brokerage, and his brokerage was losing $80K a month, and we started coaching. And he was a successful entrepreneur for quite a few years, and the brokerage was losing like $80K a month. He was frustrated. It took me 2 months to get him out of reaction, where he finally got balanced and in alignment. The next week he calls me. He shows up on the call and says, "I'm feeling great." The next call after that, he goes, "I just had a new opportunity come in that is a new 7-figure revenue stream for the business." And the call after that, he's like, "We just got a deal that was $500K in commission." Another one of my clients raises funds and was doing it on the side. He was a teacher part-time, and we did coaching. After a couple months, got him into alignment, and all of a sudden he got this opportunity to work with as part of this big family office, and just helped him literally raise. He had raised like 5 million, and the next 90 days he raised 20 million, because we truly are unlimited. And when you meet somebody who can remove the limits, the invisible hidden limits that you don't know are there, that's when we become like limitless.
So with this, this is so interesting. Is it really all just a mental block? Or when you unpack people's stories and I guess their situations, are you dissecting the business at all? Or are you really, because it's so many different industries I'd imagine that you work with, but is it just on the personal level that once that's aligned, it opens up and breaks the barriers for the professional side?
It's a combination of both. The personal side is always in there. I've been in business in the corporate world for 25 years. So it's like close to 30 years now. So there's quite a bit of mentoring that does go on as well. But the foundation really is the mental thinking, because there's basically 2 beliefs that I measure everybody against. And the first belief is you're unlimited. And the second belief is there's nothing you can't do. So if a client says something to me that contradicts either of those beliefs, I know there's resistance. But it's typically a game of getting them pointed at the right target because they're not aiming high enough, or giving them a different point of view to get back. Some entrepreneurs get stuck with money, like money is their limit, and raising money and making deals and getting the money, and their financial mindset. Others is their team. They need more resources. They don't know how to manage teams. So they get kind of stuck there. Some are literally, how do they handle all this and not fall apart? Some of them are already successful, but their personal side is falling apart, and they need to fix that. Some of them have had like a major loss, a massive loss, and they've been in depression for 3 years because they can't get out of it. So but the primary 6 things we do, let's see if I remember them. We help people make more money. We get more done in less time. We help them get unstuck. We help them elevate their financial mindset. I forget the other one, but that's primarily what we do for everybody.
Yeah. But it seems all encompassing.
Yeah. But the beautiful thing about this model is it's the same formula for every problem. It's simply alignment with the target. And whatever the resistance to the target is, all coaching is removing the resistance to the target. That's all it is.
So just to piggyback off one of the things you said, one of the limits I think you said, or a ceiling was money, right? A lot of people, I think that would resonate. I just want to dive into that, unpack that a little bit, because I think that's for a lot of people in 2025, right? There's, the market's up, down, whatever. But I think in general, we are confined to what we see other people around us making. And like this idea of chasing money, because money can provide freedoms and all these things that you want. Like a lot of people are just chasing the dollar. Can you maybe just unpack that a little bit? Not giving all the secret sauce, but I'm just curious, because I think sometimes Corey and I are motivated by money because we're like, that will get us to the next stage. And so it's the carrot that we're consistently dangling in front of ourselves.
Well, there's nothing wrong with being motivated by money, Money is a primary motivator for people in society. Like there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean you're greedy. Like it doesn't mean anything, right? So some people have resistance to their desire for money when they are literally wired that way, right? If you do a DISC personality strengths assessment, it'll tell you how big of a value money is. Most of the clients that pay my rates, of course, are all focused on money. And it's not because they're greedy assholes. It's just that's their driver. Like I'm focused on money as well. I'm very high economic driver. Is it because I want mountains of money? No, it's because I want freedom. Money is freedom. Money is control. Money is liberation. It's safety. So and some people are motivated by that. Some people are motivated by this. Some people grew up thinking, well, money doesn't grow on trees. So they've got all these old financial beliefs they have to unwind, because you cannot out-earn your financial mindset. You cannot. And if you read my book, you've heard the story of me like sabotaging that 200K interview because my financial mindset wasn't high enough, right? So financial mindset will always hold people back. And I've had clients come in and they plateau and they stuck and they're not moving, and and all the action they're taking aren't working. And as soon as you upgrade their financial mindset, the same action they were taking starts working. So what I typically ask everybody as soon as they come in the door is like, what's the most you've ever made in a year? And how much did you make last year? And how much are you making this year? Because that gives me an understanding of your financial mindset. So let's just say, for example, imagine you made 100 grand a year. Okay. You make 100 grand a year, right? And we get to July 1 and you've made 80,000, right? You can almost imagine you're like, oh, I can relax, right? Whereas if you got to July 1 and you made 30,000, you could feel the pressure and stress, right, to try to get it up. So that invisible barometer is always running, and we don't realize that we're taking our foot off the gas when it starts to scale. And most people don't 10X simply because they can't handle it.
In between the ears. Interesting.
Yeah, I 10X'd in 21 and it was nuts.
We love the 10X. So that where I said the million, that's just the first goal. And then there's ones after that. But I want to know about, are there things that you do daily? Or maybe that you tell your clients to do daily mindset practice, any non-negotiables, anything that sticks out to you that maybe that's relatable that somebody could take away and implement, or I'm not even sure if you go down that road, but I'm just curious.
It's different for everybody. The thing you want to do daily is what is most aligned with you. What I do daily is radically different than what some other people do daily. Because the way I'm wired is I'm wired the way I'm wired, and consistent daily routines have just never been my thing. I tried for years and years to do them. It doesn't work. So what do? I flow. I do this, I do that. The only thing consistent every morning is like I have 16 ounces of electrolytes, a green drink, and a coffee. And I kind of lately I've been in need of more rest because I went through a divorce in the past year. So the past year has been a little bit of chaos. A lot of unexpected chaotic growth, but also the growth that I needed. So it's been this phase I'm in right now. I needed more soothing of myself and care for myself than grinding and pushing. So I would say what's good for you in the morning is what you need for you.
It's so interesting. It's just unpacking this entire conversation. It gives clarity, and there's no same way to dissect every single person, right? Because we're all on a different wavelength, different piece or chapter of our journey. But as you go through this, like I've realized we've grown tremendously from, a year ago. And then even previously before that, but to get to 10X, right? That's a big number. And I'm not afraid of that number, but you just mentioned like, hey, it happened in 2021 for you. For us, if we just keep attacking the same thing, we've had trouble, I guess, over time, not trouble, but shiny object syndrome comes up where we've interviewed a lot of highly successful entrepreneurs and everyone seems to have a sexy thing that they've done and mastered, right? And you're like, oh, I could try that. We've learned the hard way. We've pivoted a few different times and we've come back to square one here. But you mentioned to remain fluid, right? And you mentioned the blue boxes but so-and-so to your left needs the red boxes. I'm wondering if you can talk to how to avoid shiny object syndrome, but also at the same time, take advantage of opportunities and not miss one on your road to success.
Give me an example of shiny object syndrome.
Okay. Shiny object syndrome. So we're long-term buy and hold real estate investors. Someone comes along and says, hey, you should invest in this crypto opportunity that's going to 5X your money. Just give me $50,000. Something like that. I don't know.
And you're asking me how to not give him $50,000 or not be distracted by it?
Maybe that's, bad example. Example would be Corey and I are in line right now with this coaching program, right? And this mentorship program. We are well on our way to on $1 million. And we are currently using a very specific strategy, if you will. Hey, we're going to try this webinar strategy to get a bunch of people in and educate them on real estate. And then if people want hand holding to the next step, they'll work one-on-one with us in our program. But there's so many different strategies. We've run ads to direct to DM, to follow us, like a bunch of different things. But shiny object for me, I guess, is, hey, this hasn't worked. Should we pivot to this new strategy? And it's shiny and it sounds sexy because so-and-so made it work.
So notice that you're asking me a strategy question, right? What to do. Notice that most of this podcast has been, you've been asking me strategy questions. So, and I want to stop, Ryan, to help you see that you're asking me strategy question. The answer isn't in the strategy. The answer is the person who's asking the question. So as a human being, let's say you hired me as a coach. You're going to show up and you're going to tell me all these things. And you're going to say, how do I do this? I want to do this. I want to do this. And I'm like, okay. So all of your focus as the human being, like 100% of your focus is on the subject, right? You're focusing on what I want. How do I get it? And that's human nature. And we'll call that a subject frame. When you're talking to me, I'm almost literally ignoring what you're saying to start with, because I'm not paying attention to your subject frames. I'm paying attention to your process frames. And the way I describe your process frames is how your brain works, what you think is possible, what isn't possible, what you're capable of, what you can't, because basically the process frame you're operating from is uncertain what to do with ideas that seem good to you when they're presented to you, that you're calling shiny object syndrome. So a better frame is like the version of you that, hey, because certain personality styles believe people more than others. High eyes like people, so they want to believe them. That's me. I like people. So you tell me that, yeah, that sounds great, But they want to be in the frame where, hey, well, if it's an idea I'm supposed to do, I'm going to know, or it's going to nag me. If it's an idea I'm not supposed to know, then I'm clearly going to know. Does that make sense?
The idea of it makes sense. And
so because what I really do is I reconstruct the process frames and how your brain works, the default patterns your brain is running. I shift those based on what life conditioned them to be, to aligning them to the targets that you want. That's what I really do.
Yeah. So, okay. I'm viewing this as, every human being is deficient in certain things, right? Just like from overall health standpoint, we're all different. We all grew up in different places, whatever, right? You can have a whole scan done of you and you can figure out through blood work what you're deficient in, right? And you take supplements for that. Mm-hmm. You're saying in a way of in strategy and business, or just overall as an entrepreneur, I'm deficient in certain areas because my frames are not in line with this target of 100, something like that. And your coaching basically fills in those gaps and rewires it to kind of get back in line.
Well, the first step, let's rewire right now. There's no deficiency in you. You are wired exactly you're supposed to be, because the frame you just gave me is not being aligned with the future is a negative, which is not the case. And I know this because I beat myself with a stick for fucking years until my self-judgment went away. Right now in this moment, you are complete. There's nothing, you're not, from what I can tell, all your limbs are there. You're not missing fingers or toes. You've got them all. But we're driven by this desire, and you have been blessed or cursed, whatever you call it, with the desire and the ability to see things better than they are, just like I am. And we fucking want it better. And you're a lot younger than me, so you're more fired up than I am at this point, because you'll start to realize over time, because I'm 51, I've been chasing this for fucking ever, that the way to get it is to be it now. And there's a big shift that happens because there's a lot of satisfaction, fulfillment, embodiment in that chasing, in the grinding, in all of that. But the next evolution is not needing the grind. It's being the next version. It's the next, there's nothing wrong with you. You are wired specifically this way for the life experience you're having right now. And if we fast forward 20 years and look back, what you're calling a deficiency right now was specifically needed to create the future.
It's just, whoa.
Yeah. So what I just picked up on was your internal negative resistance about yourself in this process. That's you. So, and I can't stop doing that. So every time somebody talks to me, I'm picking up on that resistance there. And that's where and then what I do is I will communicate and give you a different perspective. And you're like, well, that makes sense. I didn't know I was doing that. Yeah, most people don't. And now, boom, you just moved up in frequency just a little bit.
Got it. And so basically through working with you and your team and just through these reframes, if you will, yes, you get people to elevate where I'm now living in the 40-year-old in my head version, right? 40-year-old, whatever it is, guy has checked off all the boxes that he has for his goals and dreams at this point. But sure, I can do that next year. It doesn't have to be in 10 years or 5 years.
Yes. Because we're creating our reality, like every step, like everything, like we don't make anything. We like to think that we do, but life happens to us, right? Life happens to us. When you want, like all of the things that you guys are focusing on are basically, you want life to respond differently to you. You want more people to show up or people to sign up for your program. That's getting life to respond differently. We want that to happen. And we're trying to figure out, how do we make those people respond differently to us? So you're listening to everybody else, and that's how they got them to respond to them. So you're trying that, and it may work, it may not work. But the way you want to think about this is this present reality you're in right now, this version of reality has the current client load and cash flow that it has. That's the current reality. There's another reality where you've got 100 people giving you $100 a month. What was that? That $1 million, whatever. And so it's like, can you ignore this reality and focus on the version of you in that one? Because life flows through us. Like we're literally creating, our frequency is determining which version of reality we're getting next. But the obstacle that we're all learning right now is that the average person's reality, which is basically, we'll call it their frame, is a reaction to their present reality. Wake up, see my bank account, see my relationship, see my body, have an emotional reaction. Then I'm taking out. So the reaction is creating the frame. What you need to do is have the reaction, because that's going to happen, and then shift to the frame that's actually aligned with what you want. And you are literally one phone call from $1 million in that training, in that mastermind program. That's 1 million, like one phone call. And we are manifesting instantly right now. I think about it like this. We're operating at such a high frequency right now that it's instant manifestation with 48-hour delivery. So that's the hard part, right? Because we can right now in this moment, oh God, I got people coming in. But now how do I believe it for the next 48 hours? Because the second you doubt it, the timer resets.
How about last month, Cor? I'm going to punt to Corey on this one, because we are our toughest month in April, and we basically had to both talk each other off ledges on certain days. Be like, dude, like, look what we were able to actually accomplish. Maybe the revenue wasn't there, but we moved some mountains. It's very hard to get out of this almost like the defense mechanism in a way.
Yes.
Like you mentioned, like you just nailed it, dude. Look at the bank account every day, look at your relationships, wake up. It's like, okay, time to attack the next day, because we're chasing this dollar to get to be where we think, hey, once we have all those future things that dollar bought us or can afford us, the freedoms, then we'll be, at peace. Whereas it's just another mountain to climb after that. So I don't know. It's a hard thing to,
because the frame that you're operating in is the downturn is a bad thing. But it's not. It's part of the construction process.
I love it. I think that's really good insight, because I've never, even in the down, I've never wavered in that we can do it and we will do it. It's just that, maybe in instance I've thought, but then my frequency goes back to the level is like, no, like, I know we can do this. Like, we will do this. So I think it's great. I know you have something coming up at the top of the hour, so I want to make sure that we respect your time. The last question I have for you is actually directed more towards you and your future goals. You kind of, you mentioned you went through a divorce and life happens, and said you're 51 and you've achieved a lot.
Yeah.
What do you want to do next? What is next for you, Jason, and with your business, and what's that look like?
What's next to my business?
Or life, or both.
Life, business. Business is more money, growth, expansion, more freedom. My next book, my goal is to get that out this year. And I'm writing it. I'm going to using last book. I used more of a ghostwriter to help me, but this one I'm going to write it. So, and it's changed quite a bit. But it's basically my last year of my life is that book. Cause it was separating from my partner of 16 years with my wife, my mother, 4 of my children was just tore me apart, you know? But I now see that turned me into the man I was always supposed to be. I'm just enjoying myself. And I met this woman a month ago, and like, I didn't know that. I thought I knew about life and love. And then after meeting this woman, she just changed everything. So I'm just like so lit up right now. It's just, life is so amazing. So what's next is like more like right now I'm focused on how fucking amazing life can get, like, and how much fun I can have, and how easy, and how to make this hard. And you know, want to coach more awesome fucking people and less people who, you know, cause we tried some patterns in the business that didn't work that well, and it was like the wrong audience. So I want to do more coaching and more events and less of running the business, because I hate running the business. I just want to coach, you know? So yeah, more travel, more off-road trips in Baja. You know?
I love it.
So I got to comment on that, and we'll let you go. It's what I found very interesting is that you said more money, more freedom. And I'm just going to make assumptions that you're making more money than Ryan and I. And I think it's very interesting that my future, you're a coach, I'm a coach. Maybe I aspire to be like somebody like you, that I can see myself, my future. I don't know if a divorce, so hopefully it's not a divorce, but just the fact that you're like, hey, I still want these things, even 17 years down the line, that Corey and Ryan want today, that to learn that feeling might not go away, even if the business is $12 million a year or $20 million a year or whatever it is. I think I don't look at it as a negative. I look at it as like, that's life. That's the reality. And like, maybe that's how we're wired, and I can embrace it. I think that's cool. And
it's this phase, right? And because the money is more money means more success. More success means more clients impacted, more people helped. So with the way I'm wired, that's one of the triggers for me to do that work. But I won't get the money unless I'm doing the good work anyway. So it's all connected.
Yeah.
Wow. I have one last one for you, Jason. And so we see all the things you've been able to accomplish, all of the people you've been able to help. And we talk about spreading the mission and bettering other people. But at some point, you have to better yourself. So how does a performance coach get coaching on life, business, the pursuit of happiness, all of that, where, you know, people look to you as the North Star? Do you have someone that you can look to, or a team?
Yes. It's actually one of my most difficult things to do, because I'm the only one on my entire team and on the planet who can do what I do. Like, there's just some things my coaches, now I have great coaches on my team, but they're not me. And I wish there were times when I could coach me. It just doesn't work. So I do have multiple coaches on my team. I have external coaches as well. But I really live it. And as I live it, that's where the coaching content comes from.
Cool.
Well, awesome.
Corey,
Jason, this has been amazing. I mean, you gave us a free masterclass on ourselves. Right. Sometimes I think those are the best episodes, because people can kind of get the feedback, and it's not just like you talk, I talk. Like, there's a lot of in between, and I think that's great. I want to thank you for coming on. If people want to learn more about you, they want to join your coaching business, they want what you're offering, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Just go to jasondreescoaching.com. You can also check me out on YouTube. That's the best place.
Love it. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. It's great to get to know you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Great to be here.